Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of The Passion Point. This is the show where we follow passionistas from around the world who are following their passion, making a living, doing what they love. And today is no exception. Our guest today is Patrick Allmond. He is a 17-year veteran of the business world and creator of Own Your Empire marketing system, which is his own unique structured way of achieving success in the digital marketing world. And I love the digital marketing world. We're going to talk a lot about that today. Patrick, you know that you and I are both in that realm together.
Right.
In addition to consulting, he travels the country speaking at events, showing people how to generate results so they don't waste their time or money. He is also a frequent television contributor, has a weekly web TV show, which I love, and a radio series, and the writer for Success Magazine. You are quite accomplished, Patrick. Welcome to the Passion Point. How are you this morning?
Thank you for the welcome. Like we mentioned, in the Midwest, but so far it's gone all around us, and we're nice and dry and a sunny 83 degrees here in Oklahoma City today.
83 degrees. Well, you've got us beat here in Northern California. Right now we are in the 40s. So go and figure. It's springtime and it's freezing. So we're going to start the show today with, as I always do, with a definition of passion. And I like to use Webster's dictionary. Webster says that passion is an intense driving or overmastering feeling or conviction. That's what Webster says. What does Patrick say? What's passion to you?
To me, passion is when you do something without the interest in the financial gain of it, or the self-promotional side of it, or the capitalist. You wake up early in the morning and you're really excited, and you don't want to sleep. That thing that you think about, the last thing that you think about before you put your head in the pillow, and the first thing you think about in the morning, that's your passion right there. So whether it's family or it's work, or I have a passion for flying. I'm a pilot. I love that. And I'm always thinking about it. It's just something that's kind of ingrained in you, and you can't get rid of it, and it won't ever go away. Even if you kind of try to squash your passion or push it aside, it'll be like a burning thing in the back of your head that you just have to satisfy.
Great definition. I mean, it's all about the feeling and the emotion and how it makes you react. And it's your jump out of bed, right? Passion is your jump out of bed in the morning. Awesome.
There are certain times, for example, when I go flying, and I'll set my alarm for a certain time in the morning, but my body will wake up well before my alarm, because I think my subconscious knows that I'm getting ready to go do something fun and sleep. I can sacrifice a little bit of sleep for that.
I totally understand. That's the way I feel about music, when I just can't wait for that time to start and to jump out of bed to go and do it. So this is a show about people following their passion. And as I said, you are actually a perfect person to be talking about this, because you have followed your passion. You started in the more of the traditional work environment back at IBM, right?
Right. I joined I was a California boy. I'm a Valley boy by that's where I was born and raised, in San Fernando Valley area, and joined the Air Force out there. And then after the Air Force, I ended up, that was back in about 1990. After I got out of the Air Force, I joined IBM and the Hertz rental car company out here in Oklahoma City, and I was a corporate drone. That's what I was.
A corporate drone. So no comparison to the drones that are flying around in the air right now, right?
Exactly. No, I drove my car in a zombie mode. I went to my cubicle, sat at my cubicle for 10, 12 hours in zombie mode, and just looked outside at the rest of the world passing me by.
So what was, I guess you're going to answer this question right now. What was the instigator? What made you decide, I'm not doing this anymore? I want to not be a drone and just doing things the way you were doing it. What was the instigator?
I've always had kind of that burning desire to do something on the outside, but probably about the 1996, 97, maybe late 97 timeframe, there was a contractor who came into IBM who was traveling around the world doing some of the things that I was doing with technology, except for he wasn't sitting in one company. He was hopping in and out of airports. He was teaching people technology, but it was a different environment every day. He'd be 4 weeks in Oklahoma City, and then maybe a week in Spain, and someplace in Kentucky after that. So he was be able to focus on one thing and then just travel in the process doing it. and we had a discussion, and that discussion ended up in him basically offering me a contract position, which was the instigator. I didn't take him up on the time. I waited a few months, but that was the instigator for me to say, I can do this on the outside on my own. The concept of business ownership seems like a reality now.
Was it scary, to leave the comfort of the corporate job where you're getting a paycheck? So was it scary? I mean, people listening are saying, you left your corporate job and you went to this. Tell us about that experience.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure there's any course in the world that can prepare you for entrepreneurship. It was extremely scary. I can remember, in being in various hotel rooms in the middle of 98 before I actually quit my job, just getting the sweats and being somewhat paranoid about how do you run a business. There was just, like I said, nothing that can prepare you for it. It was scary. It was uncertain. I didn't even understand, for example, about the concept of like invoicing. I thought you just worked and someone threw you money. I thought work was just that easy. And I can remember within my first 4 to 6 weeks of business, I called one of my clients. And I'm like, where's my check? They're like, what check? You have to invoice. I'm like, invoice? What's that? And there's a whole other story about my very first invoice. But I just had no idea the concept. It was scary. It's still a little scary to this day, the uncertainty and things that go on. But the scariness gets squashed out a little bit by confidence and experience.
And tenacity, would you agree? Tenacity to just keep going.
Yes. Oh, there are so many times when you own a business, especially when the times are rough, where I have to admit, I've even done it at times where you look at the help wanted, there's positions, and it's a nice, safe, secure, comforting job, and you can go in every single day and don't have to worry about taxes or payroll or all that stuff. And but if you're an entrepreneur and you have passion, you realize, I just can't do it. I just can't do it. I've often heard it said that entrepreneurs are basically, at some point in time as an entrepreneur, you become unemployable. You can't be employed by a regular job anymore. It will kill your soul. And so you have to have the tenacity to work through that and keep following the dream.
So tell us the journey. So you leave IBM and you jump into this new business as an entrepreneur. What was it called back then? And what was this journey like as you get to where you are today?
Well, the company name right now is Focus Consulting, but when I first started in business, it was called ATBS, All Things Big and Small. I was looking for something creative. I wasn't concerned if it actually applied to what I did. I just wanted something cute and creative. And in November of '98, I left my corporate job at IBM. I started traveling around the world doing mainframe consulting. And for those young pups out there, a mainframe is a big, giant computer which takes up a ton of space and needs a ton of water to keep it cool. And so I was a mainframe specialist. And I was just traveling around the world teaching developers best practices and things like that. And business was great. I was having a good time. I racked up a ton of frequent flyer miles. I'm still close to I'm slowly approaching 1 million frequent flyer miles on American, just because of all that travel I did from about 1998 to about 2006, 2007. So I lived on the road and I got all that out of my system to the point nowadays where I am completely happy sometimes just sitting at home for a month or two and no travel whatsoever. And so that was the first phase of the business right there. And then we kind of got on the fact that I got out of that, stopped traveling, got into the marketing and advertising world where I am right now. And so here we are in May of 2015. I've been in business for 17 years and I still love every day of it.
So you consult with small business owners, big business owners. What exactly are you doing in the advertising and marketing space today? Now, you and I have known each other for several years. It's just recently that we've actually started to take our online relationship to an offline relationship, and we'll talk about that too in terms of the importance of that. But who do you work with exactly?
So perfect question, because I just came from a Starbucks not even 20 minutes ago to Zoom home to be able to talk to Caren on camera. So what we do is clients come to us when they've realized that all this stuff in the online world is just too hectic and just too confusing to keep track of. And so they just basically dump it in our lap for a monthly fee, and they just say, please take care of this for me. And that's what we do. And it covers the full range of tactics, from paid social media to free social media to video marketing, which is a killer idea. And I love the fact that you do videos, Caren, because there is just no there's just no beating the feeling that you get from watching somebody talk. And I'm just a huge fan of your show. But the video marketing, the social media, the email marketing, the lead generation launches, we cover all that, and we just make it so someone doesn't have to worry about the tools. They just say, this is what I want at the end of the day, and we will say, here's your strategy, and we will do it for you on a regular basis. And so we have a small staff here who takes care of social media and the email marketing and just all that stuff to make people look good. And that way they can be off doing, dental work or doing whatever they do. The client I just came from is a local dentist who's gaining popularity. And she's so busy face down in someone's mouth all day long that she has no time to update her Facebook page or send out an email blast or all that stuff. So she's just going to dump all of that on us, and we're going to make her life easier.
And I know how important that is, because most dentists, I'm sure, the last thing they want to be doing is working in an environment that they're just not comfortable with. They want to be doing those income generating activities. And in her case, right, she's a dentist. So that's
Right.
where she belongs, inside somebody's mouth. One of the questions that I get asked all the time about social media is, there's the overwhelm. Am I supposed to be on every single social media platform? What's your opinion about that?
My opinion about that is social media exists for me to drive people to my website. And that's the entire existence. So whether or not you're on one platform or 10, you got to remember that the entire goal is not to spend time on social media. It's to get people from social media to watch something you want them to watch and to do something. So every piece of content you generate, for example, needs to have some kind of go do this now kind of thing. My take on which platforms you should be on, how many you should be on, is I focus on about 2 or 3. I focus on a really small number. I get good at those. And the ones I really focus on are the ones where I can basically do the best targeting. And for me right now, that's Twitter and Facebook. I can do absolute brilliant targeting on those. I tend not to chase some of the latest things. I haven't done the Periscope yet, or a Meerkat, or anything like that, just because I just don't see the marketing or targeting benefit in it. There's, I don't know where you would find the number of social media sites. I'm guessing there's easily probably a couple hundred, and I do no benefit to myself and no benefit to my client if I try to spread us really thin across all those. So usually for every client, we are on 2, maybe 3 if they really want to, but we really try to keep them focused on the Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube world. And anything outside of that, I say, that's just use those other ones to drive people back to those main 3 right there.
Yeah, and I also tell people that, not every social media platform is the right platform for you, even if everyone else is using it. I mean, Pinterest is a perfect example. Pinterest is
Right.
very visual. I love Pinterest, and I do use Pinterest because I do a lot of videos. And I don't know about you, Patrick, but I put my videos right on, my shows right on a board on Pinterest. And I get a lot of traffic there, but I get a lot of female traffic because Pinterest is more female oriented. Would you agree?
Yes, I would agree. I'm not doing that yet, but if I wish I had a place to take some notes, I'd start taking me some Caren notes right now.
Well, you know what? And the same thing with Instagram. Now, Instagram, I just kind of jumped into Instagram, and I use that more just to put up my memes and my photographs, of course. I have not used it for video yet. And yet I see people using it for video right now and drawing a tremendous amount of traffic because of the hashtags that also correlate with, let's say, a Twitter hashtag or a Facebook hashtag. Now, how do you use hashtags?
I have a really interesting relationship with hashtags. I don't know if you asking me this question because you see my comments on it. I think they can be very easily abused. And the epitome of hashtag abuse is I saw someone on Instagram this weekend hashtag a photo with # photo. They actually hashtagged the photo and called it hashtag photo. And I was like, okay, people, you don't get it. So I'm very careful and very particular about it. And Saturday, for example, we had an event here at a local motorcycle shop, and we came up with a hashtag. Not that many people used it, but I just like to use them sparingly and make sure they're very specific and very effective. But I just think sometimes out there, especially on the visual sites, people just over hashtag, and it's not targeted, and it doesn't really add any value. In general, I don't see too much value in adding meta information about our conversations. They're just, like I said, they have to be very specific and very useful, and use them sparingly like a good spice.
Exactly. And, I started using hashtags when I was doing events. I, too, was on the road. I don't know if we talked about this before, but I was on the road 3 weeks out of the month. every single month doing events all across the country. And we used hashtags for that because every event that I did, I wanted people communicating not just in present when they were there, but also to continue the conversation later on. And so for those of you who are listening going, what the heck is a hashtag? It's that pound sign that you see with a word. And so in my case, mine was passion, hashtag passion. And every time I would do an event, people would then communicate offline. But just teaching people how to do that was a challenge. Because as you just said, they go onto Instagram and there's like, what, 20 or 30 hashtags that are listed on one picture. And I'm laughing.
Right.
I started to laugh. I almost spit out my drink when you said hashtag photo. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I mean, really, that one was kind of obvious. I've seen some hashtags used very effectively on, for example, a friend of mine just did a book launch and she has a hashtag for the book and she made sure she predetermined it. So it's physically in the book and it's on her launch page. And she sends out tweets and quotes about it, and they all use that. So she strategically planned it, and I will eventually have a book, and I've already got the website picked out and the hashtag picked out. So she had a very good strategy there. I'm gonna follow that strategy.
Yeah, and I think you would probably agree that every single social media platform, and when I say every, I'm not talking hundreds now. I'm talking about the ones that generally people know about. LinkedIn, which is more of a business social media platform.
Right.
I like to say Twitter is more like being at a bar. It's fast, right? Statements are being said very, very fast. Facebook is more like a picnic because you go and you see people posting about what they ate today. I mean, really, do we need to know that? But it's like a picnic. So, I mean, I truly love using social media, and I am a little bit of a social media, I'm not going to actually use the word, but I like to use social media all the time, and I like to share it out that way. I'm also all about passion, obviously. This is a show called The Passion Point. So I am going to give you a quote for today that is all about passion, and maybe you have a quote you'd like to share with our audience as well. Today's quote is by Travis McAshan, and he's an entrepreneur and web strategist, and he says, "Purpose may point you in the right direction, but it's passion that propels you." I love that. So do you have a quote? It doesn't necessarily have to be about passion. What's a quote that maybe is one of your favorites?
I came up with this one, and because I'm on the spot, I can't think of one for somebody else. So I'll use one that I came up with a while back. And it's, action is the great thing that escapes most people. A lot of people have really great ideas, but very few people have great actions. And which one are you going to have today? So going back to the whole passion theme, I would tell people that listen to Caren when it comes to your passion, but don't just sit there and twiddle your thumbs with your passion all day long. Stand up on your feet and do something about your passion. Otherwise, like I said, you'll be on your deathbed, and that passion will be burning in your soul, and you will have done nothing about it. So do something about that passion.
Just like Nike says, just do it. I mean, whatever that next step is, just do it. And you and I were talking about video. You mentioned video on this. Video is where it's at. We know that the statistics say that people are going to watch video up to 2.5 minutes. Rather, if they see static text, less than 10 seconds. So guys, put some video on your website, put some video in your social media, because otherwise you only have one chance to mess it up. And I say that, people can come to your site, but if you've got nothing going on there, they're gone and they're not coming back. Let's talk about your web TV show and your radio show. What's the name of your web TV show?
The web TV show for Focus Consulting is called 3 in 5. The number 3, in 5, and it stands for 3 marketing tips in 5 minutes. And what I do is I flip on a camera, flip on the light, so I have a little setup background with a green chroma key behind me, and I will do the intro, and then we'll play a video bumper, and then I'll go through 3 marketing tips that I've learned either from somebody else or my slant on somebody else's opinion, or just something out of the fact that I've done things wrong. Me doing things wrong are really great lessons for other people. And so I'll record that. I'll do a little bit of cleanup, but I'll get that up on there, and I will do it wherever I am. I just recently did one. I was in New York speaking at a media conference, and I had just watched Jay Baer speak, B-A-E-R. That guy is brilliant, let me tell you.
Yes, he is.
And after his session, I actually took my laptop, the same laptop I'm on right now. I went out into the hotel bar, which was closed because it was early in the day, and I fired it up with the New York Times Square behind me, and I recorded my 3 in 5 video right there. edited it, cleaned it up a little bit, and then uploaded it right there and put that up on my blog. So if you go back and read some of those, you'll see I'll do that. I'll try to do that 3 and 5 video wherever I am, because I've been told that it's really useful and it's bite-sized. People can consume it and then get on about their way.
And it's a great digital asset. I mean, you now have a digital asset that you can either send people to, you can do a playlist with them, you can transcribe them. What do you generally do with your digital assets? Okay, so you record these videos. Do you do anything else with them?
I do exactly what you said. You brought up something that's just brilliant, and I learned part of this from Jay Bear also. Is one of the main reasons I do video is because it's the most complex piece of content to create, but you can reverse engineer so much out of it. And so what I'm doing right now is I'm not even doing anywhere near what Caren's doing, but I'm taking my videos. As soon as I get those uploaded to YouTube and I have a link, I'll log into a service I use called SpeechPad, and I'll give them that link. And 3 days later, SpeechPad will give me the full text transcription, and then they will give me an MP3 file, which I'm then pumping over to Libsyn, and I'm slowly building up my podcast, which will be the podcast version that's already listed in iTunes, and then that eventually is going to go to an app. So I'm going to do what Caren said, record a video, but I will have the video and the podcast and the text and the app output as that. And what I need to do is just up my game like you've done and get that stuff into a book also. I'm so concerned about writing a book, but I'm writing a book every single time I open up my mouth is what I'm doing. So
yes,
I just need to follow.
And you know what, our listeners, as you're listening to us talk about this, it's working smarter, not harder. It's creating that asset that's going to work for you 24/7, 365 days a year. And yes, I would totally encourage you to take this stuff that you're doing, because it's great stuff. And I listen to your 3 and 5, and create these digital assets that are going to live for you ever and ever, and put them on Kindle, okay? Because what's really cool about ebooks is that you can put hyperlinks in there. You can put your videos in there, because anything that's pushable, like, you can push the link with your finger or click it on your computer, can take them anywhere you want. It's a great way as a lead generator. Have you ever done that as a lead generator with an eDoc?
No, I have not. And see, this is I've already learned something by being on your show today. Is I need to start doing that some more. So no, that's a brilliant idea, because one of my big emphasis in digital marketing is lead generation and email marketing. And I tell people to do that all the time, but I'm also a classic case of, the shoemaker's children often go barefoot.
I'm one of those too, actually. I tend to do all this for other people's shows, not necessarily all for my own. And what do you tell people when they say, oh my gosh, I hate the way I look on video? What do you tell them?
You have to really convince people that, trust me, first of all, you are not the worst looking person on video. If you go at YouTube, there are some bad looking people. That's my first thought. But what I often tell them is, just look halfway decent. It doesn't really matter. The important thing that matters is get on camera as soon as possible and verbalize your expertise. Another favorite phrase of mine, and I have to admit, I really am not narcissistic, but some of my favorite phrases I just think up in the shower sometimes. And one I came up with recently, where I use it as a speaking engagement everyone loved, is nobody listens to the silent expert.
Ooh, that.
And what that means is if you want to be considered a thought leader or an expert, you have to verbalize it. You have to say something. You have to record it. You have to get people to listen to it. And even somebody who's a mediocre expert with a mediocre video and mediocre expertise, as long as they're saying something, they will actually be considered more of an expert over someone who just sits there and says nothing but knows more. So, somebody, how did I put this the other day? I'm trying to remember all the things I said. Oh, an amateur with great marketing will make more money than an expert who says nothing.
Love that. And you are so right on the money. I mean, truly, you're on the money. You know what I tell people when they say, oh, I don't like the way I look on video?
What's that?
I kind of want to slap them like in Moonstruck and say, snap out of it. You look exactly how you look. And we have to get out of our own way, because how we look on video is exactly how people see us. So it's our own issue with how we look. Practice in front of a mirror, right? Just start looking at yourself and start looking at the mirror as you talk, and it will get easier and easier and easier. I have one last question for you, and that is, if you could spread passion dust anywhere in the world, who would you spread it on, and what would you hope to accomplish?
I am lucky enough that every Friday morning for about 4 hours, I get to volunteer at a local elementary school. And I really enjoy it because those kids have not lost their hopes and dreams. And one of the things that I like to occasionally, when I get to talk to a fourth or a fifth grader one-on-one, and then they say they're quirky or they're an oddball or they're not sure or they're afraid to say that they like something a certain way. I said, you know what, do you really like that? And do you think about that all the time? And they tell me they're obsessed with it. And I just remind them, keep being obsessed with that because it's something that's going to carry you out through life. And people can make careers and livings and TV shows with the most bizarre things in the world. So I just wish I could go to just all the elementary schools in the local area here and say, just don't lose that fire inside you because you'd be surprised what you can do with it.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that. And I know that on your lower third on the screen right now, it says allaboutfocus.com, but we also want to send people to stopdoingnothing.com. I actually do some blogging on that site with you. That's your site. And we want to encourage people to go to Stop Doing Nothing. What is the site all about?
Stop Doing Nothing was started maybe about 5 years ago, and it's just a place that when I have some of these thoughts or these quotes that I'm talking about, I'll put those up there. I'll make an occasional video or I'll send something out to the email list. And I tell people it's about almost, the phrase I like to use is aggressive ambition. I don't like to coddle you when, you should have happy thoughts and the world will be great. I'm more of kind of a kick you in the butt, get off of your seat kind of thing if you want to do something in life. And so what I do there is as I blog and I'll do videos occasionally, I'll find really smart people like you to get up there and write things really pushing people that are on the edge to go over the edge, make that leap of faith and do in life what they want to do, whether it's something simple as, starting their own blog. Some people, it's amazing. We take for granted that, we blog multiple times a week on different places, but some people are afraid to get up a single blog post.
Right.
And so that may be someone's, threshold right there. For other people, it may be video, it may be exercise, it just may be different things in the real world. But I like to be really aggressive with people and push people. Quit coddling yourself. Get out of your own way, like you said. And that's what Stop Doing Nothing is all about.
Well, I love it. It's a great site. We encourage people to go check it out. Any last thoughts, Patrick, to our viewers that you would like to impart on them before we say goodbye? This show went really, really fast today. Any last thoughts?
Yeah. Oh boy, just look back at the quote that I gave when it came to action. If there was one word that kind of epitomized my theme for myself, my theme with other people, it would be to, when you want to do something in life, whether it's write a blog, exercise, whatever else, plan to a point, but also remember that done is better than perfect. And so don't over plan something. Plan a little bit, read up about it a little bit on Wikipedia, but then push yourself away from the computer and actually go do it. The imperfect action will beat somebody who overstudies and sits in the library all day long trying to figure out how to do something. So be willing to not be perfect and go forward and get your video show out there. Go to the gym, just do whatever you want, but for goodness sakes, just do something.
I love that. That's great advice, Patrick. I really want to thank you for being on our show today and sharing your brilliance with our audience. And we want to thank our audience because you have a choice as to where you spend your time. And we want to thank you for spending your time with us today. And so as always, until the next time, have a great day. And we will see you on the next Passion Point. Bye-bye, everyone.